Hey guys, Stefan Fischer here from All Off Road. Thank you for joining me today. Are you struggling to find some good Christmas presents for your four-wheel drive obsessed family member? Let me give you a few ideas of Christmas presents I would happily like to receive. All of the gear I'm suggesting here is gear I personally use and value very much. For full disclosure, none of the products I show you here are sponsored in any way, and everything I suggest is something I use on my travels. However, for some of the products I have independent affiliate links via Amazon or via A24/7. So if you like to purchase one of the products, you usually get a little discount, and I also get a small commission for each sale, which will help the channel. So I reckon it's a win-win for both of us. I don't know about you, but something would be missing for me if I did not have a good cup of coffee when going camping. For quite some time I did use the AeroPress, and I also have a review about the AeroPress, and I still think it's a very easy, great way to make a good tasting cup of coffee in the bush. However, before my last trip I came across the Delter press. It looks fairly similar to the AeroPress, however it does make the coffee in a very different way. So let me show you a little bit about the Delter coffee press. Yeah, I purchased it, it was on sale, and I really love it. I prefer it over my AeroPress, and that is my favorite coffee maker now. Simply for the fact it tastes a bit smoother, the coffee. With the Delter coffee press, the difference is that you have the coffee and the water separated. And with the AeroPress, that is all mixed. So the coffee is separated here, and then the water comes from the top, and it just gives a much smoother taste. I really like it. To add a little bit extra, then you need one of the paper filters. A tiny little bit of water in there. One other advantage of the Delter press is also that you can make bigger cups. I could put double the coffee in, and because the coffee and water is separated, I can make 3 or 4 cycles of coffee, which is quite handy. Slowly pressing. That's it, beautiful coffee. I have to say, the Delter press has replaced my AeroPress. I only tested the Delter press on one trip. I'm not sure yet about the longevity of the Delter press, because unlike the AeroPress, I haven't been using it for a year. But given it's only $50, I think it is a worthwhile present for a good cup of coffee. Let's stay with the coffee theme. To brew a good cup of coffee, you need hot water. And while nothing beats a billy boiled over the campfire, it's not always practical, especially for example if you want to have a cuppa during the day, or for whatever reason you have no campfire going. So what I use for the past 9 years, I think, to boil my hot water is a jet boil. And by the way, while I have 2 of the jet boils, my first and original jet boil, which is 9 years old, is still in use in my Land Cruiser and has never failed me. So I reckon a jet boil is must-have equipment for anyone who goes camping and requires hot water. Quite an important part of any outback adventure is your mapping software. I switched to digital navigation many years ago and hardly ever carry paper maps nowadays. While the applications and maps I use change from time to time due to new software being available, software being upgraded, or in some cases like Hema being downgraded, where new versions released are just not really fit for purpose, one software I have been using continuously for the past 9 years was memory maps. Memory Maps always has been a very reliable platform, however it has not seen much development over the past few years. In early 2022, Memory Maps released the new Memory Maps for All. I'm a little bit biased because I worked as a consultant for the new Memory Maps for All version, and a lot of the features in the app are based on my suggestions. For 2022 it has been my preferred GPS navigation app and so far has not let me down. So if you use digital navigation, you have an Android, Apple or even a Windows device, I reckon Memory Maps, which by the way is free, together with the Hema 4-wheel drive map pack is your perfect companion for any 4-wheel driving or outback travel. The next Christmas present idea, I wasn't sure whether I actually should include that, because I think every one of you should already have one somewhere in your car. However, then I realized that is probably not the case. So a GME PLB, if you haven't already got one, I think is nearly a compulsory Christmas present, because everyone should have one in his car. A PLB is shortcut for personal locator beacon, and that really is your last resort if everything else fails to get help if you're somewhere in the bush. I made a dedicated video of the GME MT610G PLB, so check that out in the link below. However, if you haven't got a PLB in your car yet, I think that is a no-brainer and a must-have Christmas present which may save your life. If you do any sort of remote touring, weight and space is always an issue in any 4-wheel drive. So to reduce my weight and also the space of gear I pack, I switched over to the Helinox chairs over 3 years ago. And I have not carried any other chair for the past 3 years for any of my touring trips. There are quite a few models, however my top 2 picks would be the Savanna chair and the Sunset chair. The Savanna chair has a slightly higher backrest and it also has a can cup holder. I also have dedicated reviews about the Helinox chairs, so if you like to know more, check out my reviews about the chairs. They are definitely not cheap, but in my book they are worth the money and would make a beautiful Christmas present. For any sort of 4-wheel driving you need recovery gear, so I reckon a good set of quality recovery gear is a perfect Christmas present for anyone who likes 4-wheel driving. I have used quite a few brands of recovery gear over the years, however I tend to stay away from cheap stuff because recovery gear is not something to take risks with. I really like and use the Saber recovery gear. While it's not made in Australia, Saber is an Australian company. All the research and development is done in Australia and also all the testing is done in Australia. They have a good selection of high quality recovery gear and it is something I carry and I definitely recommend if you haven't got yet a good set of recovery gear. With the Saber recovery gear you can find a present in many price ranges. I personally have the 12,000K Ultimate Recovery Kit, but that is close to $1,000. If you are looking for smaller presents, you can start with a 20,000 kilogram fully bound soft shackle for $69, an Easy Glide recovery ring for $129, or a kinetic recovery kit for $270. So there are plenty of options to choose from. Have a look at A247, they have the whole Saber recovery gear range and usually sell at a pretty good price. You also get another $20 off if you use my coupon code during checkout. Let's face it, LED lights really have changed how we camp, at least for me. And I'm personally a sucker for LED lights. I don't think I can count how many LED lights and lanterns I have around the house and 4-wheel drive. Olight is a new addition to my lights, and this one has been provided to me for testing and review purposes. However, I already done the review for it. I really got to like that light though over my last trip, and it is something I continue to carry with me. It is a fairly simple light without any thrills. However, it does have one feature why I like it so much, and this is this warm filament type of light. I found this warm light is beautiful when camping because personally I'm not a fan of these super bright LED lights unless I'm looking for something, but around camp I rather like this more orange light. It also attracts far less mozzies and bugs, so it's definitely better to use, for example, when you cook. This filament type warm light feature I haven't really seen in another lantern, and it is really something I like. You don't have only the warm light though, you can also crank it up and then have a fairly bright light. One other great feature this light has is that the battery literally lasts for ages. I still haven't recharged that lamp, and I have used it on a 3-week desert trip pretty much every night, and it's still going. So the battery capacity here is absolutely crazy, especially when you, like I did, mainly use this filament section. 180 hours of continuous light. The lamp also doubles as a charging station, and you could charge your mobile phone from this lamp. I really like the lamp, and I think it would make a good Christmas present. Another good present in my book is a UHF. I think any four-wheel driver needs a UHF in their car, and while I think most of you have a fixed mounted UHF in your four-wheel drive, by the way, I have two in my car, one for the group channel and one for the designated channel for the area I'm in. However, I also have two handheld UHFs in my glove box, and they come in very handy for a multitude of situations and reasons. Number one, handheld UHFs are perfect if you travel with kids. For example, in the desert, if my kids go exploring from camp, they always need a UHF with them because it is actually fairly easy to get lost there. A handheld UHF is also very advisable if you have any type of recovery situation where you can assess and direct from the outside. Personally, I had many different brands of UHFs over the time, but I always come back to GME. GME are Australian made. They have the best service in the industry in my book and from my experience, and are high quality products. I have quite a few GME handhelds because I do not like to move my gear from car to car. I have two cars and the camper trailer. So each of my cars has at least one handheld GME UHF. And then I also have a dual pack which I take when I go with the kids. So each one of my kids has their own UHF. Yeah guys, thanks a lot for watching. I hope I gave you some good Christmas present ideas. I can tell you I would be very happy to receive any of the gear as a Christmas present for myself. As always, I would greatly appreciate if you could give me the thumbs up on the video, share, like and subscribe. And if you like my content overall, it would be greatly appreciated if you could support me via Patreon or buy me a coffee. And with the equivalent of a cup of coffee or two per month, you really can help me make these videos. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you along the tracks.